And whether they're going to be reading it, you know, horizontally or vertically.
Yeah,
Sure.
but like what I've heard is like the HTML was always designed to be like screen independent. Is that not like? Is it not true?
Well, that's the whole point. The internet went completely wild. The original thinking behind HTML. HTML is like the child of XML and HTML, you know, the two preceding markup languages. Now, the fundamental first commandment, if you like, of XML and HTML was that content and formatting would be entirely separate, right?
That's where everything
but then what happened with the web? We got HTML, where you put your content in, and the only way you could do any formatting was also to do it in the HTML. So we piled it all back together in the one place, and that's a large aspect of the chaos that we find. So we have the pixel dimension, the screen dimension, and then we have the fact that HTML became this kind of a bastard child, right? Or a mutant. It became more like a mutant.
An incredibly successful
mutant.
It's an incredibly successful mutant. And
Yeah.
People have bolted new arms and legs onto this mutant to make it do things that it was never envisaged that it would do in the beginning. It's hugely successful, but we have to realise it's a mutant, and you know what? We really need to try and get back to the original purity, and that's what CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, was really designed to do. Was designed to allow you to do the formatting in a separate style sheet and have all your content in the HTML.
But what do you think? Like if I use like CSS and I specify like the size of the font, I could also go with like absolute values, like say 10 pixels, which is still bad behavior, right?
No, you can go with absolute values like 12 point. You can do that in CSS. You can actually specify absolute values, and then the browser will work out how many pixels it needs to do that based on the device it's running on, which is kind of nice. So you can go with the absolutes.
That's already built in like into CSS. Means if I specify that
the measurement systems are both relative, like pixels, and absolute, and of course you can have relative measures like 100% or 12%.
Yeah, that's actually nice, right? You can say small and large.
Yeah, it can be nice, or it can be not nice. You know, that's so much of the problem with what's going on. I mean, that there's been so much enthusiasm and development of HTML that people have done all these kinds of things with it, but there are fundamental underlying issues that have gotten kind of forgotten or distorted along the way as a result. So what's interesting is the move towards standards in HTML, and also the way that you know, over the years things like specifying font face inside the HTML has become deprecated in favour of specifying it inside the CSS.
Sure. Right.
So so some of that is already happening. You know, some of the things that people have been doing to get workarounds, which were necessary in the beginning when there was no CSS.
Right.
Right. Some of the things that they've had to do in HTML, you know, I think it's really about trying to lead people towards the light.
Right.
It's trying to lead people towards doing it the right way.
Yeah.
And actually, if you do it that way, you find that it becomes much more powerful when you do that separation. The things that you can do on a website using very basic HTML that's really easy to repurpose, and more sophisticated CSS are very interesting. So that's kind of what's been on my mind a lot over the last few months. I've been Internet Explorer team, as you know, has been working on Internet Explorer 8.
Yes.
And one of the things that we announced as a company several months ago was that Internet Explorer 8 would render web standards by default. You could probably have heard my cheer from wherever you were in the world.
Sure.
Because I had actually written a Bill G Think Week paper a few months earlier, calling for Microsoft to really embrace web standards and to help extend them to support the things that weren't. I really firmly believe that that's the way forward for the web. Nobody is interested in the web in signing up to anyone's proprietary format. They want to go with standards-based.
And by
content.
that you mean like, say, PDF documents when you need that level of readability, or what do you mean by proprietary format?
Things like that. I mean, people don't mind using proprietary formats like Silverlight or Flash for pieces of pages where you want to do video or animation or things that you can't do, but they really don't want to sign up to long-term survivable content based on someone else's proprietary format. If it's long-term survivable content, you really want to have that in some kind of standard-based format that you know is always going to be able to be parsed by something and rendered.
Right.
So as I say, you could have heard the cheer because one of the commandments that people have always had is we can't break the web, right? Mm-hmm. We've almost manoeuvred ourselves into the same kind of position as we have with some of our print applications, where you don't want to break old legacy documents.
Right.
And you can't. The problem is you can't. I realised some time ago that you can't get from here to where you need to be without breaking the web somewhat. So what that means is that legacy content should still be able to be displayed, and that's what Internet Explorer does. There's a compatibility mode in Internet Explorer 8, so that if the browser goes on and tries to render it in standards mode and it doesn't work, you can click compatibility mode and it will render in that, and you'll get what you always got.
Right.
Which is good, and that's a good way forward. That's a good transition story, because you don't want, when I say we have to break the web, I don't mean we have to break all these legacy documents. We have to have a way of supporting all those legacy documents, but we need to break the paradigm somewhat going forward and develop a new paradigm.
Guide people into doing the new way, right? The
That's
standard
right.
way.
So,
but you can still fall back to your old. If you have like an old application or like a website in this case, right? That you probably can't maintain, or is like from a third party, and you have it on your intranet or whatever, then you can fall back.
Yeah.
Right. But if you do something new, you should use the standards, because they are designed to persist, right?
Yeah, they're designed to persist. They're designed to be cross-browser. They're designed for all kinds of they have all kinds of benefits to them. So that's what I've been doing over the last couple of months, is looking at, as Internet Explorer matured, we just shipped beta 2, and things began to get dependable, and you could start to do production level work. You could do stuff in beta 1, 2. I was doing stuff in beta 1, 2, but things are really beginning to firm, and the functionality and feature set was getting filled out by the time we got to beta 2. So I took Internet Explorer beta 2, and I'm not an HTML guru or CSS jock or any of those things. I haven't done a lot of hand coding in the past.
Sure.
I always depended on an authoring tool like Front Page or something of that sort to do authoring in the past, because I'm a type guy, right? Type, fonts, layout, these are the things I know best.
I think a lot of customers do, right? Especially that aren't, say, day-to-day developers, right?
That's exactly my thought. I mean, one of the problems that we have in Microsoft is we're a very, very technical group of people, and hey, it's nothing to the average developer or program manager in Microsoft with a degree in computer science to fire up Notepad and hand code HTML and all that stuff. Hey, it's so much easier than doing C or C plus or whatever, So it's easy for them. But there are how many Office users now? 600 million Office users, is it?
Yeah.
And there are 750 million people using Internet Explorer out there, and of that number, I'm guessing that probably less than 1% of them would be happy sitting inside Notepad. In fact, way under 1% of them would be happy sitting inside Notepad hand coding HTML.
Yeah. Right.
So the way I look at it is that in Microsoft terms, I'm dumbing